Hello, everybody. Welcome again. My name is Richard Dean. I am Senior Director of Product Management here at Syncro, focused on Microsoft 365. Um, and I have joining me Kelvin, founder of CyberDrain. Kelvin, why don't you say welcome to everybody?
All right. Hey, welcome everyone. Yeah, like Rich said, I'm Kelvin, Microsoft MVP, founder of CyberDrain, and we're a fantastic partner of Syncro. We love working with them, and that's why we're all here today because we are releasing this awesome tool. Well, we've released this awesome tool.
Yep, it's been what, couple weeks now, I
Yeah, a
think.
week and a half,
Time,
something like that.
time
Yep.
is compressed and weird anymore, but I think over the last 2 weeks it's been very successful. I think we're seeing a lot of good traction. So before we get started, I want to tell everybody to stick around until the very, very, very end after Q&A. The reason I want you to stick around is we're giving away a pair of Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. So stick around to end of the session. You'll get a form to fill out, and you must complete the form to be eligible for the raffle. And we'll announce the winner live at the very, very end. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about Syncro Snapshot. So I think the first thing we wanted to spend a little bit of time on, so you have a better understanding, um, is exactly the gaps that we identified that led to Synchro Snapshot. I'll go over it briefly from my perspective, and Kelvin, I'd love to get your perspective as well. So from my interactions with MSPs over the last year, interviews, pack meetings, all of the different types of interactions, what I found or what we found in the data is about 20-25% of MSPs, regardless of size, from smallest to largest, uh, have an actual standardized methodology and set of tools within their toolbox to actually go through some sort of security assessment or network assessment. But the remaining 75% of those MSPs are struggling through that. They have hodgepodge tools. They maybe not don't have anything at all. So they have no process from a pre-sales perspective to show value immediately. So it really came down to like there's a real gap in any kind of standardization across that. The second thing that I noticed or wrote down was is the ability to prove value quickly, build trust that you know this sphere, that you know cybersecurity, you know Microsoft 365 security tools, but more importantly, um, moving into another platform can be daunting, right? It can be time consuming. So being able to bring value more quickly without onboarding a new customer before they've signed any contracts was key. And then that leads into what happens to the data. If you're collecting my data and writing a report, assessment report for me, where does that data go? Who's keeping it? Are you running AI against it? Are you doing something like to profit off of it? And nobody wants that. So I think those are the three things that really struck to us that
Yeah, and
MSPs.
the first part is actually one of the most important ones that I think a lot of MSPs struggle with. We were doing the research like before we got started on this, like, hey, we need something like this because even in my MSP, there were still things being done with Excel sheets and guesstimates and these kind of things. And like my MSP is a large one. We're big. We have a very mature process. But even for M365, we were like, wait a minute, we don't have any way to have read-only access, and we don't have any way to build that trust because that was one of the most important things. Like I could say, hey, you know what? Let me put you in my multi-tenant management tool right now, but that means that we have complete control over that environment even when we haven't started a relationship yet. That's so weird. So that was one of the biggest things that we noticed that Richard and I spoke about, and we were like, yeah, we need to start building something like this because it just doesn't exist.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of when we were first presented with the challenge was my consulting days and doing data migrations. It was the same kind of toil because you would come in as a pre-sales engineer and have to basically do it yourself, figure it out, run scripts, do exports, compile data, Like, and no ISV would ever build anything because they're like, well, it isn't in our best interest to go build a tool for you to do this, because it would be in our platform, and we don't want to build a free tool. We don't want to build something that's frictionless. We want them on our platform for a reason. So, good luck, pre-sales. So,
Yeah.
I'm glad we're solving this after 20 years.
20 years, geez.
Well, I mean, it feels like it,
Yeah.
at least from my old, perspective. Let's move on. So, real quickly, so why we built Snapshot, as the gaps that you saw, the reasons, we wanted to provide that quick visual posture, perspective. So we wanted to be able to spark conversations that are meaningful, right out of the get-go, right out the door. We wanted, again, prove value for our customers, or have your customers see you as a valuable, trustable source. And then we really, really wanted something that was completely secure. No data is collected, no credentials are stored. It's read only. I think that was paramount to building that trust for the customer. So that's really why we built Snapshot in the end. These are the outcomes we want to see. And then what is included in Snapshot? So what you're going to see today, we're going to do a demo shortly here, is that we generate an executive ready customizable report, that you can download, share, and have conversations with. You have a live dashboard that's instantaneous. So once you run the report, you'll see the data and you'll get the results right there. You can start having conversations. And then what we're really focusing in on, is delivering focused gaps in your identity and security configurations across your tenants. So we're really keen on focusing on those most important areas, particularly around identity, authentication, MFA, what admins have access to what, who is inactive, what licenses aren't being used, and then any of those general gaps that you may see, within conditional access. And of course, most importantly, Microsoft Secure Score, the recommendations that it's producing, so you can have a good snapshot of that. Sorry, Kelvin.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
it's
mean to
not
cut
just
you off on the last one.
what was really like one of the things that I loved most was we made this entire risk assessment as the first part of the assessment. As the moment you run it, you see like, hey, there are misconfigurations going on in my tenant or in the tenant that I'm testing, and that makes it so powerful that with that speed of seeing actual valuable data, because most of the time you have to jump through like 10 different portals to get all of these different settings. There's one here, and there's one over there, and there's one over there. And you have to now go to the Azure portal, now go to the Entra portal, and now go to the Exchange portal. It gets so confusing. So what we really tried to focus on was making sure you get this all in a single snapshot. I love that word, snapshot. But you get it in a snapshot, and bam, you can just check it out exactly what on one page instead of jumping everywhere.
Yeah, I think Security Snapshot really uh, ties it in for us in particular, because this is that snapshot. And then hopefully, when you purchase Syncro, you'll get beyond the snapshot. You'll get that continuous assessment. So that's really what we want to lead into overall. It's like, let's look at that security posture, but how do we maintain the security posture? And that's what's most critical.
Yeah,
All right, so how does Snapshot work? So real fast, and then we're going to just show you. So we initiate the assessment, so you start it. You run the assessment. You authenticate to the system, so your Microsoft 365 tenant. You decide what type of report you want to run, whether it's the full report for Business Premium E5, or is it a standard report for lower tier subscriptions. Then you generate and download the report, and then you have a conversation. That's it. 5 steps. Super simple, super fast, super efficient, and hopefully super helpful.
exactly.
So let me switch to my screen.
So we'll answer most of the questions along as or when we have the Q&A section. I saw one that I just want to pick up while we're waiting for it to load anyway. Is agentic AI or large language model used in Snapshot? No. There is no agentic data ingestion. Your data remains your own. Very important on this page right here, we even tell you exactly what we're going to do. Everything is done in your browser.
So again, as Kelvin was saying, everything you need to know about the security and privacy is right at the very beginning. So it explains to you exactly what you should be getting, right? Of course, you will need a global administrator to run this, and that is for security reasons. Even though these are only read actions, we still want to maintain the highest levels of security. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have picked a demo tenant with some data in it, and a Syncro Snapshot has not been installed. So this is what you'll first see to actually register the application.
And as you can see, the entire list is read, sign in, and these kind of things. Um, it makes sure that we're only accessing the data that we need to access. We don't want to do everything. It gets annoying. There is a extra permission, manage on exchange, and someone in chat just said that as well. And that is done because there is no read-only permission for exchange. Microsoft has never made that available, unfortunately.
Once you have authenticated, as we said, it will check your security and verify that you do have permissions. If not, it will tell you you don't have permissions. You need to go to your global administrator. This is the point where we decide which type of report we want to run. A basic report that is designed for anything that's below business premium, or a report, an advanced report that includes conditional access and other security controls that are available in business premium and above. So we're going to go ahead and run the business premium version. So again, I said this is a demo tenant, so it's very small, 38 users. Let's and if you have any comments as I'm going through this, feel free. Um, but so this is our dashboard. This is the Syncro Snapshot dashboard. As we roll through the different sections, you'll see uh, at the get-go, you just get a general sense of like, what does the tenant scope look like? What is this tenant? When was it created? What are all the SMTP domains that are registered and accepted there? How many users, cloud users, your guest, your hybrid users? So you get a sense of the scope and size of that particular tenant. So that can frame your viewpoint as you go through the conversation with your customers. Of course, next we move right into Microsoft Secure Score because it is used so much by different customers and even risk insurance to determine the posture of your Microsoft 365 tenant. You can see for our secure score, it's not too bad, 63%. It would be better at 83%, but it's not, there's definitely room for improvement. And that's where you want to really have that conversation is, okay, we can see your secure score now. We can see where you're at in terms of your average peers out there in the world and see where you compare against them so you can have a better understanding of where your posture is at and where you stack against everyone else in your peer group. Um, so again, we start the conversation. Do we have gaps here? Yes, we have gaps here. There is something we can do to help you secure your systems to clear up these gaps and raise that Microsoft Secure Score. So next we roll into the top 10 recommendations from Microsoft around Secure Score. So
Yeah, and the cool thing about this one is that these really are the top 10 that will give you most points if you achieve them. So you'll immediately see a huge rise at the moment that you increase the scores.
yep, and as you will see throughout the entire dashboard, every grid or view that you see is customizable. You can add and subtract columns. You can export it to CSV, PDF. You can actually view the actual API response. So that's a great way to just copy and paste and dump into an AI and do whatever you want with it. So
Yeah,
um, at least that's the way I use it.
that's exactly what it was meant for.
Yeah, and exactly. Filters, of course, right? Normal filtering, being able to do anything you need to do. So all the controls that you possibly could need to customize this data and get this data in the right way that you want it. Now we've moved into common misconfigurations. Uh, did you want to say something about common misconfigurations?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, this is one of one of my favorite parts because this gives you so much insight immediately when you log in. Because look at all the red. All those red parts are actual security issues that your clients suffer from without you being aware of it. A good one is who can invite guests? Everyone. That means that, especially with the latest attacks in phishing, they send you a guest invite link, or they tell you send me a document, or you click on something wrong, you invite a hacker into your environment. And the stupid thing is, hackers in in most tenants, guest user restrictions are off. The top one that is green in this case. When they're off, they can read all your conditional access policies as a guest user. They can see your configuration. They can read all your users. They can read all your email addresses. All of this kind of stuff with just a guest user in your tenant. So this is one of those cool overviews that actually immediately gives you insight like, holy crap, I'm actually unsafe. And
Yeah.
if you're doing this as an assessment in the client, it'll immediately show them like, hey, look, your current provider or your neighbor's kid who's 15 and is managing your M365 might not be doing it the way that they should be.
That's such a great point. I mean, in particular, like being able to just harvest that data to lead into more information on better ways to, infiltrate them, like it's key. So. So next we move into application registration. So all those enterprise applications that you have out there, they're critical to understand what they're doing, what kind of permissions they have, and because those identities are the fastest growing identities out there. The non-human identities, which includes apps and everything else under the sun, are really the forefront of where you should be focusing your uh, you know, audits on to determine, are these apps really key critical to the business? Are they secure? Are they stale? What are they doing? Looking at those activities, it's a critical component to understanding the posture of your environment.
Absolutely.
So applications that are used in the last 90 days, and again, this is a test tenant. We have a few of them here, but you can immediately have that conversation about a broader conversation about non-human identities to say this is just the tip of the iceberg of what you have in your tenant that has access that isn't an actual human.
And the fun thing is that I've actually had this conversation with a couple of my clients where we've shown them this list and they go like, what the hell is that application and why can it access my mailbox?
Yeah, yeah. You'd be surprised on really when you get
Yeah.
into like customer tenants and you open up some of these views, you're like, wow, like yeah. So next we move into global administrators, that key component, understanding, look at that we have tons of global administrators in our experimental tenant here. 11, which is totally outside the norm. 2 to 4 is your target for global admins. And I'm pretty sure out of those four, two of them should be break glass accounts that are secure and put away somewhere. So having that conversation, you have 11 global administrators. We need to clean this up. We need to get it down to whom the particulars are. And then, even worse, look, Nestor and Isaiah all have their own personal account named with global administrator, which is absolutely a no-no. Do not give a standard user account global administrator, create global administrator accounts that they need to switch to that have separate MFA and separate credentials. You don't want Isaiah accidentally doing something in his day to day.
Isaiah logging into the admin portal and deleting all users.
Yeah. So, and that's a better way from a phishing exercise to get to Isaiah's because his account is the keys.
Yeah.
So it's no extra layer besides Isaiah. Course, multi-factor authentication would prevents 99% of all of your identity attacks if it's properly managed, properly installed, and properly set up, and properly enabled across your users. And here we can see that users without MFA 41 of them. So all that red right there is we need to address that red as quickly as possible because this is the first and foremost thing that we need to do. We need to get these users within MFA, and if these users aren't, we need to get these users out of their stale accounts.
That is a significant list.
Yeah, I think Lee beefed it all up to make sure that there was red on the screen. So for sure. Next is modern authentication settings. These are things that people, many administrators kind of forget about. You know, there's not just OAuth authentication across your Microsoft 365 tenant because Exchange came first and everything else followed in Microsoft 365. And Exchange was its own animal before 365 came along. So it has its own authentication protocols, parameters, settings, all of that. Same as SharePoint, which was its own thing, and then Teams came along and it has its own authentication controls as well. So we need to make sure across the board that, all of your modern authentication is enabled and none of the old authentication protocols are enabled. And if they are, you need to find out why and what systems are using those. Next, we move into inactive users for the last 30 days. Again, inactive users, why are they there? What are they doing in the organization? Are they stale accounts? Do we have the proper processes in place? Because again, from a phishing exercise, a dead account is just as good as a live account. And we should probably speed up a little. We only got like 30 minutes left. Um,
Oh, that'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. There's so much fun stuff to talk about in the
I
report.
know. I know. And we'll get in, and we haven't even got into the actual report itself. So this is again the live dashboard to start having that immediate conversation, just to have a tertiary conversation and then lead into a broader conversation with your customers with the full report with, everyone that would be the stakeholder in that organization. So next we move from unassigned license into mailbox forwarding rules. Um, from there, now we get into the business premium and up categories. So next, we talk about conditional access policies. Kelvin, I don't know if you wanted to say anything here.
Yeah, so this is actually also one of those, especially if you use Business Premium and up, it actually checks which things are enabled and which ones are in report only. And that also gives you a bit of an overview because a lot of time people create a conditional access policy that they put into a specific state. Oh, I just want to report as a start and then forget to come back to enable it. The cool thing is that this one also allows you to add all these sorts of columns, so you can actually see like, hey, are the users I want included, or are the apps I want included? We haven't enabled all of those by default because there's a lot in the conditional access policy, so you have to customize it a little bit by what you want to see.
Yeah, for sure. There is a lot of data. It's funny
I
how
see
much.
that Marcel is asking about the Q&A. The Q&A is coming right after this, Marcel. No worries.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's quickly finish up the dashboard and we'll get into the report and then we'll get into that Q&A. So we have anti-phishing policies. Again, critical standard report that it's easy to enable for every tenant, that you should have at least the basic default anti-phishing policy enabled. If you don't, you should enable it today. And then, of course, if you need custom policies, adding those custom policies. And that is true across all of these email controls: anti-phishing, anti-spam, safe attachments, and anti-malware. Again, all super easy to enable. Microsoft gives you default policies so that you can enable it immediately and start protecting your email systems from these areas. But it is such a simple thing to do, and you wouldn't believe how many people do not do it. And of course, safe links. And then finally, just in this, it's a test tenant, so there's no real email going through the system. But if there were, you could see actually what kind of quarantine queue you actually have to kind of give you an overview of like what kind of spam is coming into the system. So you can kind of judge from your quarantine queues exactly maybe what you need to start protecting yourselves from in particular domains and subdomains. I don't know if you had anything else to add, Kelvin,
No,
before I jump
that's
into the
yeah,
report.
that's it.
Awesome.
I do have one cool thing to add.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had my team check the statistics during the webinar to see what's happening. We've added 300 tenants or snapshotted 300 tenants in the last hour.
Nice. I love it. That's great news. All right. So, the save the report function. So now we've built our executive report. So this is a fully customizable and, conversational piece, right? Because with all the different controls that you have here, you have the draw tools, all of those kinds of things. You can have a broader conversation across this document if you want to. Of course, you can save it, right? So you can share it out to anybody. You can customize the coloring on the lettering, right? Because some of the coloring may not be suitable for certain types of visual users. So if you need to adjust those things, that can all be adjusted here. And then you can also customize the report and disable any of the different sections that we'll go through or you'll see within the report itself. So if you don't want to have a conversation about MFA, I don't know why you wouldn't, but you can disable those sections. You'll also see in the report some infographic pages or informational pages that you may not want to include in the report. You can just turn that off.
Yeah. Oh, and a cool thing about the report is that soon you'll be able to add your logo to the top in the next release.
Nice. Very nice. So let's just quickly run through the report and then we'll get into Q&A, and I'm sure there's going to be more than enough questions to get through. Um, so we start with your executive summary and a basic overview of the scope of the tenant again. We go right into misconfigurations or common misconfigurations because this is the meat of the potato. This is where we want to start our conversations. These misconfigurations can cause these impacts, and this is
Yeah.
how we're going to help you fix those.
One of the cool things that my team has included is making sure that the executive summary is an actual executive summary. Because my biggest annoyance about getting these reports is you look at them and they're super technical and in depth, and they don't explain what data you're actually looking at. So we focused on if you give this to an actual executive at a company, they'll be able to understand it.
Yeah, that's such a great point, and it totally had slipped my mind how much of that in the conversations we've had during the design that, it needed to be a not an audit report, right? Because an audit report is an overwhelming document.
Yeah.
So these are the infographic pages that we were talking about that leads to, again, more conversation. Then we move into secure score, again, to see where you're at in that secure score and see where you're competing against your peers. Then a summary of your global administrator state, and then right into multi-factor authentication. And I'll kind of speed through the rest of these. Inactive users, which we've covered. You can see high risk, security risks. So there's a big conversation. 35 inactive accounts. Why are they inactive? What are they doing? You're on
And a lot
license.
of times that's actually also a pricing thing. If you have 35 unused accounts, it means that you have 35 users you're paying for nothing, most likely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is it. So you can download the report. As we said, you can start sharing with your customers immediately. This also, all of these, again, these components, you can turn on and off. And that is Syncro Snapshot in what? What was that? I don't know, 7 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. But you guys are hammering it, as Kelvin said. So we appreciate the enthusiasm, we appreciate the support, and we appreciate your feedback when you guys hit feedback. Incidentally, before we get into the Q&A, when you do have feedback, if you are a Syncro partner now, you can go into the Syncro Community Center and you can add your feedback there.
Yeah. Um, I saw a couple of questions about the same subject, so let's pick up that one immediately. About which plan this is available under and who this is available for and what the cost is. This is a very, very simple answer. Syncro and CyberDrain both are super community minded. We want this to be available for everyone, not just our clients, not just specific people. We want all MSPs to get better from this. So this is available today, absolutely free for everyone. Whether you're a CyberDrain client, a Syncro client, it really doesn't matter.
That's right. Absolutely free, frictionless. So let's, I don't know if we really need to jump over back to the presentation at this moment, but we can get into the Q&A. I haven't even started to look at the actual um, Q&A at this point. So if you have a question queued up, Kelvin, I'd appreciate it. Let's
I'm just
see.
trying to get through them. You guys have been asking so many questions. It's
It
amazing.
always, it always, always, always,
It's
always.
it's really good.
And
Um, One question that I see that's duplicate is if this is open source and if you can contribute to it. No, it's not open source, but that's mostly because we have to secure the application that runs it. There's a specific app that you approved at the first time, so we couldn't release this open source. It was a part of our idea to make this free and available to everyone. It's not open source, but you can contact either Syncro or ourselves with feature requests and ask us like, hey, could we add this? Or this is some feedback that I have. This is a bug I found. Please do.
we have a question from Caleb. It says, how are you establishing access to pull the assessment data?
So what we do is we create an app inside of that tenant and we request that list of permissions. Cool thing is we only request an access token. The moment you close your browser or the moment that token expires, which is in about an hour, it's gone. We no longer have access.
Absolutely. And that's core to this. Eaton has a question. I think I can probably help answer it. It says, which plan within Syncro is this tool available? This tool is available again for free, regardless of your plan. You can go hit Syncro Snapshot, or sorry, Snapshot at syncromsp.com right now and use the tool. You don't have to be a Syncro partner at this moment. Um, we do plan to bring it into the product, but we're not sure when and where that will be.
Yeah, so there were a couple of questions around credentials and stuff, but we've already answered those. So I'm just marking those as that we answered them.
Yeah, perfect.
How do I remove the application once it's completed? The
That's a
moment
good
that
one.
you log out, it's gone. The app still exists inside of the tenant as security assessment app, but it's no longer usable because we no longer have a token. For cleanliness sake, you can delete it right after.
See, is the PDF the only export option, or is there something like Excel that has list of users, sign license, et cetera, et cetera? It is PDF only. However, you can get those Excel exports from the individual grids within the live dashboard. So each section is represented both in the report and in the dashboard, and you can export any of that from there. Or again, like you may have missed, you can actually get the direct JSON and then compile that into any kind of AI you'd like and compile a report.
Yeah, so Marcel R asked, what license do you need for reporting, basic or advanced? You for the basic license, any license that is available, it would need exchange to access the exchange portion of it. For advanced licensing, business premium and up, because it uses things that are under P1 licenses to check those.
Sean asked a great question. Is there any plan to show security gaps when comparing to any sys controls? I don't think there is for the free security assessment. If you want something like that, then you'd have to get into SIP or you'd have to get into Syncro itself because that's where we start to map out CISC and NIST and all those different frameworks.
Were a couple of SIP questions that I'd like to answer in a little bit. I'm not ignoring them. I'm answering them right after the Q&A because we have a little surprise. Of course, we have a little surprises. We love surprises, don't we?
Calvin's always
Um,
full of surprises.
are there any plans to add further details about the misconfigurations? Well, when you check the executive report, it actually says what the specific misconfiguration is and what you need to do to go fix it. There's a little recommendations section that says like, hey, this needs to be fixed by changing a setting in the tenant, and it will have a little bit of impact.
Greg asks, does this replace or supplement the security assessments included in Syncro Team's plan? This does not replace it. It certainly is a supplement to it at this stage that it's in right now. And again, we do have plans to bring it into the system. Just don't know when and how at this point.
Just there's so many questions, guys, and they just keep on coming in too. Where are we supposed to send feature requests to was one. I think that Caitlin just added some things in the chat. Check the links in the chat. Michael Snap asked, "Can we have it in another language?" And my answer to that is going to be very short. No, because I don't speak a lot of languages, except well, I speak 5 languages, but
Just a little, just a few.
I can't be the one translating all of these things if my team has to work in it. Google Translate works really well with these kind of tools. I'm not even joking. It works fantastically. So please make sure that you use that to get the data that you need.
Sean has a long question here, and it's slightly redundant, but it's probably not bad to repeat. He missed the first few minutes, so we'll refresh him. So he says, is it recommended to have a separate admin account for Snapshot or an existing one? If use an existing one, do the permissions for Snapshot under the account get removed automatically once finished the session, or are they persistent?
That's a long question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the enterprise app that exists will always exist, but we won't have access anymore. After you log out or after you close the window, it's gone. We don't have access anymore. So, yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah. And as far as the first part, like a separate admin account versus an existing one, yeah, I would say an existing Microsoft 365 account, you
Yeah,
don't need to create a separate one, and you'd probably never want to just create another new one for some other app.
exactly. Exactly. And Jonathan Bynes asked, when it looks at users without MFA, is there a way to get it to exclude shared mailboxes? No, there's not, because the shared mailbox actually is an account. A shared mailbox still has a password and a username it can be used to log into. A fix for that is disabling the account. When you start disabling shared mailbox accounts, you're no longer able to log into them, and they won't show up in the MFA report anymore.
Brian asks about Intune items, devices, and policies.
I think that's something that we have on our list for future releases. Keep an eye out.
Absolutely. Can we add our contact information to this report as a footer? Not at this moment, but that's good feedback. So if you, Marcel, if you are a Synchro partner, go to the community center and write that feedback in.
When it looks at users without MFA, is there a way to get it to exclude shared mobile? Oh, that's the one I just answered for Jonathan. I forgot to click on it. Whoops.
It's easy to do when there's about 600 questions. Um, can we self-host this? That's a good question, Toby has.
Unfortunately, no. No. At the moment, that it's just the only answer. However, we might be adding a way to add a custom URL to it, so you could have your own URL for it. As I said, might have. This is still a pending feature request. We're working on things in the background.
Are the unused accounts only licensed users, or does it include all users? That's a good question. And I
I
don't know.
believe it currently includes all users. However, there is a filter to say accounts with a license.
This is a good question too. Can we remove the synchro page at the back of the document? That is in flight.
Yeah. Should be released this week still. So today-ish / in the weekend somewhere when we push our current dev build to release. We don't want to do it right now because, well, you guys are using it.
So how does this compare to sys audit controls?
Currently, it doesn't. And that's, you know what? That's a good segue. That's a really good segue into the
Yeah.
spoilers. Currently, it doesn't, because this is more of a basic pre-sales assessment report where you go to the client and you say, like, hey, look, this isn't configured exactly as we'd like to see it. Or you tell the client, hey, your current MSP has configured it like we like to see. So we need to go more in depth to see if things are wrong. So that is an approach you can have. However, I understand the need for these SIS type of compliance reports for more ongoing monitoring. For that, you should check out Syncro XMM or SIP because this is the spoiler that you guys have been waiting for. We are introducing more of these types of reporting into SIP with our next release, where we'll be presenting Microsoft ZTNA assessments, some Maester tests, some of these tests that we currently don't present in SIP yet, all in a very similar way where you can get an executive report for more in-depth and ongoing maintenance. So check out Syncro XMM, check out SIP for those type of reporting.
All right, back to the Q&A. Marcel asks, how do we enable this for our tenant? He must have missed the demonstration, Marcel. So it's as simple as going to snapshot.syncro.msp.com, clicking the Start Assessment button, and authenticating with your global administrator account. That's it.
There was one very lovely message from someone saying, "You are the wind beneath our wings," and that is lovely. Thank you so much.
I don't know how you can read the chat and the questions and answer things all at the same time. Hey, there's a good one. Will we see this at Right of Boom?
If you'd like to, yeah, absolutely. We will do demos. Synchro will be there. CyberDrain will be there. We are at booth, I want to say 81, but I'm not entirely sure anymore. Um, Come check it out.
If the enterprise application gets check marked for consent for organization is checked, sorry, broken grammar, will all users in the tenant be able to run the assessments against the tenant?
All users with global reader access at a minimum, if you've consented for the entire tenant. Yes, that is correct. However, it doesn't really matter because at that moment, the moment you close the browser, the token is expired, and you need to re-authenticate to be able to use it again. So yeah, global readers, global admins, after consenting, the complete thing. Yeah.
Here's a good one from Tracy. Will MFA report show when the MFA is enabled via conditional access policy?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Brendan missed your announcement. When are you integrating this into SIP?
Yeah, so
Here-
by next release, which we're hoping is still this year, but that is always a especially an end of the year release is always a bit exciting. We try to not like confuse too many people. So maybe this year, maybe the start of next year.
Do you have to sign in for every tenancy managed?
Yeah, so that is one of the things for this assessment. It's really meant as a pre-sales tool. So you sign in at a tenant live with a client, and you'll be able to see it. However, when you use SIP or Synchro XMM, you have access to some of this data already, and we're expanding that together. We're making sure that more and more of this data is becoming available.
Does Duo MFA get recognized or other third-party MFA solutions?
Yes, so that's actually really cool about this report. If you are using a third-party provider that is using Microsoft's newer options, of which I forgot the name right now, but they have a new option to integrate MFA, then yes. If you are using the older option where you're forwarded through ADFS or different methods, then no. And remember, people, we still have a contest to win the Ray-Ban Meta glasses in the chat right there. Click on the link, fill it in. I love giving away stuff, especially if it's not my stuff.
This is an interesting one. We have a tough sell sometimes. Oops, it keeps moving. Uh, Obtaining a GI account for an assessment. Is there an option for the prospect to run the assessment on our behalf, but the results are sent to us and not them?
No, but I think that at that point, you could either remotely control their machine or just sit down next to them, have them log in, and show them as soon as you log out, this is gone. This is no longer here. You can download the assessment, you can download the PDF. So yeah, how is Synchro integrated here? It seems that it's all the SIP system. Well, it's not just SIP. This is a completely standalone product. This is completely on its own. You don't need SIP. You don't need GDAP. You don't need a complex setup. It's really just a tool to do what exactly it says on the tin. We create a snapshot of your current environment. And I'm seeing a very nice comment by Marcel that says, "Hey, I want to run this on my current clients." Absolutely. Run it on your current clients too. If you have access, go check it out and see maybe stuff you've missed.
I agree.
I think we went through most of the questions.
I think we did. We exhausted them. Is there any updates on those numbers?
I could do a very quick check. I have the portal open right now. And we are currently at, wow, about 400-ish. I'm saying ish because very important to know, we don't save a lot of data, nor telemetry. We don't want to know which tenants you've tested. We don't want to know any of that stuff.
Yeah,
It's
where
not
they
important
are.
for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So about 400 new tenants have been tested in the last hour and then a half hour.
That's great. That's
Cool.
well, if there are no other questions, Caitlin, if we want to do the drawing now,
All right.
who is going to be the lucky winner?
Who's our lucky
How
winner?
many do we have here?
We have, I think most of the attendees here, I don't have the exact number on the board,
How
but
many filled out the form? You know?
it's on my other, it's behind
Okay,
the
no
screen.
worries. Putting you on the spot.
Eitan, congratulations.
Hey, Ethan asked a few
Ethan,
questions.
sorry if I butcher your name, but congratulations, Ethan. I got to make sure that you are currently present first. Let's see. Ethan, are you here?
He is. He
Oh. Oh, yes.
he just said yes. It's right there. And he's been asking lots of questions too. So thank you for being such an
Perfect.
amazing participator.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining and congratulations for winning. I will reach out to you to get a good shipping address from you right after this webinar. All right.
Awesome. Kelvin, thank you, sir, for all the help in this project. It's been a fun summer, fall project. I think at least it has been from my side. It's been a great collaboration. I think it's our first big collaboration between each other. So I look forward to many more, sir.
Same, same. I've loved setting this up, and one thing that's really important that's one that's really important for the attendees here too. This proves on how Syncro and CyberDrain are both trying to push the MSP forward, MSP industry forward together. This is one of those things where we align so much that we just want to make sure that we get this done for everyone. We want to help you. It's been an amazing time, an amazing couple of months to develop this, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Yep. Happy holidays, everyone, and have a great new year.